must be from MTV News. Are you here for the history case lessons?
I sure am.
Come on in. Step on into my office.
Not to be rude, but is this really your office?
You see, I'm a teacher, so I don't really get paid much. And my bedroom has to be my office.
That makes more sense.
And you can call me Mr. Figgy or Mr. Figaro, even though a lot of people can't pronounce that. I don't know why. But are you ready to begin?
I sure am.
Before we begin, you should know that in court cases, we have a plaintiff, someone pressing charges, and the defendant, the person defending themselves from prosecution. Today, we're focusing on Gideon versus Wainwright. In this case, our plaintiff is Florida State, and our defendant is Gideon. This case takes place in 1963. Some of the facts are, Gideon performed a misdemeanor and saw a representative, but this was shot down as his crime wasn't a capital offense. He didn't testify for himself, and he was sentenced for 5 years. He filed a petition that the court was flawed and didn't honor his constitutional rights. Thus, the Supreme Court decided to step in and review the case. Some of the issues were, is the right to counsel necessary for a just trial? Which means, in order to have a fair trial, did Gideon really need someone to...
The Supreme Court decided counsel is absolutely necessary, as read in the Constitution, all criminal prosecutions. This means not only capital cases deserve representatives, but all cases. This overruled Betts versus Brady, which said only certain non-capital cases deserve counsel. Students should learn from this case that those people being prosecuted are innocent until proven guilty. The court holding on this case was counsel or representatives is fundamental in any just court system.
represent him?
Our next case is a very controversial one. This case would go down in history. This case is known as Roe versus Wade. In this case, it talks about Texas laws of making abortion a criminal offense. So let's begin. Our plaintiffs in this case are Jane Roe, Dr. Halford, and the married couple, the Does. Our defendant is the state of Texas. This court case took place over the years 1971 to 1973. Some of the facts of the case were, Jane Roe challenged Texas abortion laws. The doctor was faced for criminal prosecution for violating abortion laws, and the Does set out to prove that the laws made by Texas were unconstitutional. However, their claim was not justifiable. Some of the issues were, do abortion laws that criminalize all abortions except for mother-saving ones violate the Constitution? Does due process, which protects right of privacy, also include a woman's right to have an abortion? And is there any circumstances that grants the state the ability to make laws prohibiting abortion? Did Roe's miscarriage proceeding before this trial affect or contribute to her lawsuit? And was the district court correct in denying injunctive release? Well, the Supreme Court decided in 1, yes, criminal abortion laws are unconstitutional because it violates the 14th Amendment, also known as due process. Number 2, yes, due process guarantees a woman the right to have an abortion without being prosecuted by the state. 3, yes, in an effort to keep women and potential life safe, but they can't make abortion a criminal charge. 4, no, Roe's miscarriage did not affect her state during court. And 5, the court was correct in denying injunctive relief. This case had a large impact on America. It gave women a right to seek out an abortion without having to worry about prosecution. And it actually has a large impact on today, as many are still wondering if abortion is right or not. And a fun fact for you guys, but Miss Roe here is actually pro-life now, meaning she doesn't agree with abortion. Huh, funny, huh? And then the court decided a woman has the right to terminate pregnancy. However, in the second stage, of pregnancy, the state regulates the process of the woman's health. And in the third, abortion could either be prohibited or, just stop it. Our next case is known as Ogden versus Gibbons. Our plaintiff's name in this case is Aaron Ogden, and our defendant is Thomas Gibbons. This court case takes place in 1824. Talk about a throwback. Anyways, some of the facts were: given the privilege by New York to operate his steamships, Ogden had the exclusive right to navigate the New York waters and do trade and fishery. He tried to keep Mr. Gibbons from operating his steamships on the waters. Gibbons appealed that he was licensed by the Act of Congress, which grants the right for fishing on coast, along with trade, right that he was entitled. This is above New York's decision of giving Ogden navigation rights. Some of the issues were: can states give personal dealings with people such as Mr. Ogden the right to exclusive privilege? Do they have the power to handle these issues from the personal dealings? And are the states granted the privilege to give exclusive privileges? Wow, that was a mouthful. The Supreme Court decided no, anything non-compatible with law is voided. 2, the states do not have the power to deal personal privileges. And no, the state does not have that power, once again, to give exclusive privilege given to Mr. Ogden. And the Act of Congress that protects licensed fishermen and traders is higher than that of the states. Some of the analysis were: this case had a powerful impact in that the Constitution had a higher power than that given to states, and the court holding was in favor of Gibbons. So our next case is one involving our very own president. No, it's not Barack Obama. This is a president from the past. This case is known as the United States versus Nixon. As you know, our plaintiff in this case is the United States, and our defendant is President Richard Nixon. This case takes place in 1974. The facts are: a break-in in the Watergate Hotel caused an investigation to see if the White House was involved. And then there was a request of tapes and writings of Nixon and his staff, and Nixon argued against the subpoena placed upon him because he thought the information was not needed for public view. Some of the issues were: does the separation of powers prevent review on Nixon's executive privilege? And should the subpoena be voided due to the public interest? The Supreme Court decided no and no. The president must get the tapes. He doesn't say what the law is. The Supreme Court does. And his privilege only depends on public interest, and this doesn't have any other support. So justice must be a factor, or this could disrupt the court system. This case showcases that despite position of power, the court system must be the determining factor in a fair and right trial. The court holding in this case was no and no. Our last case is McCulloch versus Maryland. In this case, we have our plaintiff, the state of Maryland, versus our defendant, McCulloch. This case takes place in 1819. Some of the facts were: the state of Maryland set taxes out on banks, and if they didn't use the paper they sent them that had a stamp, they would be charged with crime. And the second bank of the U.S., located in Baltimore, McCulloch violated this and was sued by the state of Maryland. Some of the issues were, does the Constitution grant Congress, excuse me, I had a hiccup, the right of incorporating banks? And does the Constitution give Maryland the right to tax? The Supreme Court decided yes. Necessary and proper clause highlights this. And no, the Constitution does not grant Maryland the right to tax. Analysis for students should be, this case left a large impact on the balance between federal and state power. The court ruled they were in favor of McCulloch. So.
I wanted to say thank you, Selena, for helping me out, and I hope you guys enjoyed the project, and I hope you learned something. So, hello, class of third hour American history. This is Tyler Figgy, and you are watching T Figgy Central. So, bye, guys.